So I make stupid comedy short videos and stupid films and video essays on not stupid films. The content I produce is not at all important or even impactful to the culture, or the internet, or even just YouTube. The stuff I make is frivolous entertainment at best. I have no clout here or anywhere, and yet, despite my better judgment, here I am proposing a solution to the most troubling problem that exists in America today. The societal infection that seems to be growing in both destructive power and contagiousness. Of course, I'm talking about the contagion of mass shootings. How do we solve this issue? Do we ban guns? Do we ban video games? No, we don't ban anything. Instead, we legalize prostitution. You heard me. This is not a matter of restricting things from the public. This is about opening things up. By things, I mean legs for money. Now, am I serious? Will allowing men to pay for sex whenever they want make mass shootings disappear overnight? Well, no. But I do think it would help. I think a lot of suffering in society could be alleviated if we alleviated sexual dysfunction. This is what is at the core to all of this. It is what everyone on all sides just seems to ignore. I mean, I can't be the only one who this fact has dawned on, but like fuck, the Republicans are still blaming video games and weed. Like we're still in 2005. This is ridiculous. And then the left is saying we should just ban all guns. It's just like neither side is looking at this with any depth. Oh, let's just take everybody's AR-15s and send them over to the Ukraine. Like, yeah, sure, George. Let's flood Ukraine with weapons that are 10 times less efficient at killing people than the weapons they already have. It's like no one cares about facts. It's like no one is actually trying to solve the issue. They are just telling their voter bases what they want to hear. And since their voter bases are stupid, all they can understand are simple solutions that address the symptoms rather than what's causing the symptoms. Because sure, Senator Cruz, many of the men who commit these mass shootings play too much video games. Many of them smoke too much weed or spend too much time online. And that's because they're fucking losers. Everybody plays video games though, so it isn't the video games or the weed that's turning these people into losers. It's just that losers gravitate towards these vices as a relief from their real issue, which is being a loser. And yes, of course they use guns. These are mass shooters, after all, but it's not like the guns are turning these people into lunatics. The guns are simply the most effective tool for any would-be lunatic. Now, I think the left has much more of a point here. I mean, an 18-year-old shouldn't be able to buy an AR-15 with no waiting period, or at all. Christ, you have to be 21 to smoke, or to buy a handgun. Why not extend that to, I don't know, all guns? And I'm sorry to all of you states' rights retards, but we need a massive, authoritarian, Big Brother database that exists just for this issue. The Texas shooter had multiple run-ins with the police just before the shooting. Domestic calls where he was acting crazy and the cops had to show up and defuse the situation. Shit like that needs to go into the database. It is insane that you can attract police attention for a possibly violent situation that you make and then weeks later go buy a rifle. It needs to be more difficult to purchase a firearm in America. I don't give a fuck about your freedoms. We are talking about tools that exist to end human life. We shouldn't be pulling any punches in this department. Like, it's absolutely insane that it's as bad as it is. But I blame the left for this too, because it's the left's job to make these changes, to force the evolution in the smart direction. But what does most of the left offer for solutions? Ban all guns! Yeah, that won't work. Hate it or love it, guns are part of America. There are too many of them, okay? You can't keep spouting the same blanket statements. I know your voter base is stupid, and you need to say plain, stupid things that stupid people can understand, but you're accomplishing nothing. It's really fucking simple here, guys, alright? I'm talking to both of you, both sides. Don't demonize guns. Just make it so the demons can't use them. But this is all surface level bullshit. Let's stop addressing the symptoms and get to the sickness itself. That was a lot of S's. Sorry about that. Okay, but let's get to the root of the issue here. These mass shooters are losers. These are losers who are pissed off at existence itself for making them losers. What do I mean when I say losers? I mean men who can't get laid. I'm sorry, but it's really the only metric that matters, okay? Okay, your degree, your career, your relationship with your family, the hobbies you have and the dreams you chase. Yeah, we can all act like these are what take up the biggest slices in the pie charts of fulfillment in our life, but no, no. Because plenty of men can go without any one of these things and still have a relatively rewarding life. But if you can't get any sex, you are going to be in a mental state that is pure punishment. And the people who commit these crimes, I mean, they have been possessed by a level of nihilism where the only solution is to lash out at existence itself. And very often, the only men who devolve to such a level of hatred are those who are incapable of achieving love, romance, sexual conquest. Maybe they're bullied for a lisp, or they're stupid, or often they're too smart for their own good. Whatever the cause, the result is that these men are sexually deficient and dysfunctional, leaving them with an itch they cannot scratch. But do you know who can scratch that itch? Prostitutes. I mean, legalizing prostitution is certainly better than banning all video games or all guns, and at the very least, it's actually feasible. And I know, maybe prostitution wouldn't really be solving sexual dysfunction. If a guy is creepy and can't get laid organically, a synthetic transactional solution wouldn't really be fixing whatever makes them dysfunctional, but a lot of that is inherent. It can't be fixed. Some guys just don't have what it takes, and they never will. It seems to me that there are just some men who are truly unlovable, the desperate undesirables that no woman will go anywhere near. Legalizing prostitution wouldn't fix these men, but it would at least keep them sane, relatively. It would keep their outrage at bay. Okay, think of these men as a cyst growing on the body of society. Prostitution wouldn't remove these cysts, but it would at least drain them. It would keep them from doing further damage and spreading. And honestly, the act of draining a cyst can be applied to a lot here. Because when you are a young male, it is as if you have a cyst growing on you constantly, and it needs to be drained. I'm borrowing this from the Doug Stanhope bit, but we need to drain the cyst, okay? A man needs to come. And sure, he can drain his own cyst, but it's not the same thing as sex, okay? Every once in a while, he needs to see a doctor, right? Like, he needs to have somebody else operate on the thing. Trying to drain it only by himself will end up doing more harm than good. Believe me, as a man who has a rather invasive sex drive, just jerking off doesn't do the trick. And that's because all of this, it isn't so much about the physical, biological relief of ejaculation. It's about the psychological. It's about how you view yourself, how others view you, your pride, your self-esteem, your status. In conclusion, all right, if you can't play the game of love, your life is going to be a shit-filled pit of despair. It is a pit that many, if not all, of these mass shooters have found themselves in. Now, I will admit, there are other factors. This is, for the most part, an American problem. Let's think about America. What does America have that other countries don't? Of course, there are the guns, and we can just beat that topic to death, but what I'm really talking about here is what America makes, or what it has made. We've made the radio, television, Hollywood, reality TV, social media. We are fixated on the concept of fame. Fame is a resource whose prospecting kind of holds the culture of our country together. And I think, as well as many others think, this obsession with fame has led many of these young men, these mass shooters, to choose infamy. They know they'll never make it as an actor or a sports star because, again, they're losers, so they choose the easy route to getting their face on every TV screen in the nation. But then again, what is the driving force here? What is the thing that propels these men to chase this status? Why do men want to increase their status? Why do they want to be powerful and popular? Why do they want to be a sports star or an actor? It's sex. Sure, there's the pride and the achievement, but all of that's just a currency that really you just exchange for sex. But moving on, there still are other factors to this mass shooter epidemic. You know, I'm not gonna lie, there are other things besides just sex. Violence in the media is certainly a factor. If we go back to one of the originals of these characters, I mean, he didn't succeed, but you know, it's the same thing. The guy who tried to kill Reagan, he was motivated by the film Taxi Driver. He wanted to be like Travis, but he also had a crush on Jodie Foster, who was in the movie. In fact, he tried to kill Reagan to impress Jodie Foster. Now ask yourself something. Do you think, you know, before he saw Taxi Driver, he was a ladies' man? Do you think this guy was knee-deep in women before he saw Taxi Driver, or do you think Taxi Driver just gave him an outlet? but okay, then there's another factor in this whole, you know, discussion on mass shooters. There's the power of ideologies. Ideologies are also said to be a huge factor. We could say that the Buffalo shooter was motivated by white supremacist content online. He went into that grocery store to kill all of the non-whites because he was possessed by an extreme case of hate-fueled groupthink. Or the Pulse shooter from a couple years back being possessed by extremist Islam, you know, motivating him to kill as many homosexuals as he could. Sure, these ideologies do play a part in these atrocities, much like the guns used in committing them, but again, it's not like perfectly sane and happy men are the ones stumbling into these hate groups. I would bet all the money I have that their lives were miserable and unfulfilling before joining these groups. They came to them in the same way the losers come to video games. These groups weren't the cause of their fulfillment. To them, it was a solution. I'm telling you, the true cause to a lot of people's unfulfillment, and especially in many of these cases, is a lack of sex. I mean, be honest with yourself. Do you think the guy saying that we need to genocide all the black people is very good with the ladies? Do you think the Muslim who's suicide bombing himself to get to the virgins in heaven, do you think he gets much pussy here on earth? And let's look at the Texas shooter's Pinterest. How sexually active do you think this guy was? I mean, I'm sorry, but more often than not, the most womanizing men amongst us aren't really the types to like this sort of anime shit. So much of a man's mental well-being is tied to his ability to get laid. I'm sorry to reduce things in such a crude way, but I'm not wrong. If you go too long without getting any food, you either wither away and die, or you fucking eat your neighbors like a crazy person, alright? All I'm saying is that we need to make it a little easier for these people to get a meal. Now, again, do I really think prostitutes can solve America's modern epidemic? No. There is no one solution. There are a lot of factors and a lot of nuance that I just didn't cover in this video, okay? I'm not trying to write a book here, I'm just trying to point out the elephant in the room, okay? This is about sex. Maybe it's not all about sex, but like, for Christ, it's at least related, and I'm not saying that prostitution is the perfect or even the right solution here, okay? What I am saying is that it at least addresses the right problem at play. I mean, you can get mad at me, and you can call me sexist, or say that we need to ban all guns and violence in the media, or God forbid, embrace traditional family values, but please understand that you are not saying anything of substance. If you actually want to lower the numbers of children and innocent citizens getting shot in the face by angry lunatics, then we need to broaden our horizons here and start thinking about this issue differently. And preferably if we can pass this legislation before the end of August, because that's when my court date is set. I mean, God, the undercovers, they just look so convincing. I mean, how was I supposed to know that I'm kidding? Share the video, like, subscribe. I love you.